So, you must already know that there's this tradition where a trailer comes out and we expect answers from it, but instead, we get questions. And Superman's teaser trailer does this job perfectly. And when I tried to watch this trailer even more carefully to find those answers, I realized that they are lying to us. Let's talk about each thing one by one. First, the opening shot of Superman's trailer, where we see Superman completely beaten up. The biggest question arises, how did all of this happen? I mean, who could have beaten Superman so badly that he ended up in this condition? From what I can understand, this is probably Lex Luthor's doing. I know how it sounds, but listen to what I want to say. Basically, in DC Comics, Lex Luthor is a character who has always been Superman's villain. And no matter what happens, he will always stand against Superman. And by any means, he wants to take that guy down. So even here, throughout this movie, Lex Luthor will keep finding ways to destroy Superman. When he sees Superman flying, he won't be able to tolerate it. And the result of this will be many different things, like that green floating monster, which could be anything. We'll discuss it later. Or Superman's clone, which we'll also talk about. But the most important thing behind executing all this is kryptonite. I know this hasn't been shown in the trailer yet, but if it had been revealed, it would have become a very important plot point that could spoil the teaser, trailer, and the movie. And think about it. James Gunn is creating a universe with kaiju, monsters, fire-breathing creatures, and many superheroes who already exist here, like Green Lantern and Hawkgirl. James Gunn hasn't thought of introducing their backstories yet, but they're still here. So, introducing kryptonite wouldn't be a big deal, especially since it's a major weakness for Superman, and it actually makes sense. Whoever could have beaten Superman so badly must have used kryptonite, because that's how Superman becomes weak. Coming into the vicinity of kryptonite, he turns almost human. We saw something similar in Batman v Superman, and in every Superman movie before this, kryptonite was used to weaken him drastically. So most probably, whatever happened to Superman was caused by Lex Luthor. Or maybe not. But I can definitely say that whoever did this had kryptonite. Next, let's talk about the other characters in this movie. It seems like having so many characters might make it hard for James Gunn to properly introduce them all. We might not even feel a connection with them. But I want to remind you all, from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 to 3 and the Suicide Squad, James Gunn has proven that he can't work with just one character. Except for Brightburn and Super, all his movies have multiple characters. That's how he likes to work. That aside, let's discuss this team. The costumes we've seen and the things they're using. It feels like they're trying to cover our faces with a veil so that we question everything. Things aren't as complicated as they seem. Basically, these superheroes in the movie, as I mentioned in my breakdown, are most probably working for Simon Stagg's Stagg Industries. Think of it as something similar to Vought from the Boys universe, a company that builds superheroes, makes them stop being superheroes, and focuses more on PR to earn more money. So there's a high chance James Gunn is taking a shot at the boys. All these superheroes work for Stagg Industries. Instead of true heroism, they follow a set of rules dictated by Stagg Industries. This explains their over-the-top uniforms, which don't match any superhero, and their hairstyles. They're designed to appeal to the public. Although I don't understand how those hairstyles are appealing, the costumes look artificial because they're meant to be. James Gunn wants to present this satirically, just like the boys presented Vought. Most probably, this team's leader will be Guy Gardner's Green Lantern. When he comes to meet Superman, his authority feels distinct. Superman might have just joined this team, like a fresher who doesn't fully follow the rules. Superman wants to help humanity, be a symbol of hope, and do heroic acts. People might have started praising him for this, which leads to that scene with the child holding the flag, chanting Superman, Superman. But those people might have only seen Superman on the news, without knowing he's just a PR manufactured superstar. Since Superman is still connected to his root, he will go where he's not supposed to, like crossing the border of Barovia to help people. And that's where things will go horribly wrong. The Stagg Industries superheroes will abandon him, leaving Superman alone. Now, let's talk about Lex in this picture. Luthor, because he always wanted to take down Superman, will work on inciting the world against Superman. As far as I'm concerned, this is all speculative, but I think he will succeed as DC Black Noir known as Ultraman has already been seen. As far as I think, this will most probably be a clone of Superman, with the U symbol on its chest. We don't see it in the teaser trailer, but we can guess from the leaks. So, it's believed this is most probably an evil clone of Superman, Ultraman. Now, I have mentioned before that many clones of Superman exist, and more than half of them were created by Lex Luthor himself. One of them is Superboy, who is created from half of Superman's and Lex Luthor's DNA. There are many others, but the most important clone is Bizarro. Now, in the comics, Bizarro is a very bizarre character. He is created as a clone of Superman, but is the complete opposite of him. He's so opposite that he even prefers to turn the S on his chest upside down. The things Superman likes, he dislikes. He is so much the opposite that if Superman uses heat vision from his eyes, Bizarro uses cold vision. If Superman breathes out ice breath, Bizarro exhales heat vision from his mouth. But all these things aside, when Lex Luthor created Superman's clone, he forgot that all of Superman's qualities, including his goodness, would come with it. That's why Bizarro's inherent nature isn't bad. He loves playing with animals and helping people, because at the end of the day, he thinks of himself as Superman. So I don't think that this Ultraman we're seeing will be Bizarro. It could be some twisted version, like what we have seen in many shows, but I still think that Ultraman could be a clone of Superman. And to support this theory, Metamorpho enters. Metamorpho is a character who can transform his body parts into any element. We get a brief glimpse of this in the teaser trailer, but as far as comic books go, His origin is associated with Simon Stagg and some radioactive rocks. I don't think James Gunn will show this in his movie. I think this character could be associated with Lex Luthor or Superman's clone. Maybe this is the result of an experiment that Lex Luthor conducted to create a clone of Superman. After many hit and trial experiments, the result wasn't perfect, so his one arm is made from a different material and his one leg from another. But all this happened because Lex Luthor, or Simon Stagg, wanted to create Superman's clone, which he eventually did. But there's one thing that might make James Gunn call him Ultraman, and that is all the weaknesses of Superman are strengths for Ultraman. For example, if Superman is weak against kryptonite, Ultraman would chew on it and get stronger, treating it like breakfast. So maybe this evil clone of Superman will use Krypton to defeat Superman, and that's why he's in such bad shape. And this brings me to the last thing, which is the glowing, flying jellyfish-like thing. There are high chances that because James Gunn likes to give a twisted take on characters and violence, this might be someone consuming kryptonite to the point of becoming addicted to it, leading to an uncontrollable energy blast. I know this might sound wild to you, but this kind of thing has happened before. For instance, in the Incredible Hulk movie with Eric Bana, something similar happens. And if you've played the Batman Arkham series of games, in Arkham Asylum, Joker transforms himself in a similar manner during the end. Almost every Resident Evil game has a final boss that mutates into something monstrous like this. As far as we know, James Gunn is heavily inspired by games and other pop culture media, so it wouldn't be surprising if the large jellyfish-like creature at the end turns out to be Superman's own clone. If that's not the case, if the clone didn't mutate into this balloon-like form, then another possibility is that this is a creation of Lex Luthor. The entire climax battle seems to take place at night, and we all know Superman draws his strength from the sun. It's possible that Lex Luthor figured this out and decided to block out the sun. Plus, if you look closely, there's a purple and green theme present, which is a signature of Lex Luthor in DC Comics. This strongly suggests that whatever is happening is most likely related to Lex Luthor. If this clone was also created by him, that makes sense. At this point, I'm just speculating, but I'd love to know what you guys think about it. If you want to know more about these crazy ideas, like the video and let me know your thoughts in the comments.